Time Story TV, the stories within.
In the heart of Africa, where the desert stretches endlessly and danger lurks beneath the hot sun, one man comes seeking treasure. But this land, scorched by conflict, holds far more than gold. Jack Carson, a former soldier turned treasure hunter, had heard the legends. Hidden deep within the desert, under layers of ancient ruins, was a treasure, one that could change everything. But as he arrived in Zaria, the golden promise seemed a distant dream.
Jack approaches a small village near the edge of the desert. People are wary, the streets quiet, soldiers and militia patrolling. He meets Amina, a fierce young woman who warns him of the dangers.
Jack didn't listen to warnings. He knew the desert better than anyone, and he had one goal: gold. But his first encounter with the militia was more than he bargained for.
A militia group spots Jack and captures him. Tension rises as he's held at gunpoint. Then, Amina and her resistance fighters launch a daring rescue, leading to a high-speed escape through the desert on motorcycles and jeeps.
With his life saved, Jack had no choice but to trust Amina. She wanted freedom for her people. He wanted treasure. Together, they would face the desert's wrath.
Jack and Amina trek across the desert. The landscape is harsh. They pass through ancient ruins, making their way toward the legendary oasis where the treasure is rumored to be hidden. Their bond starts to form, even though they come from different worlds.
But as they ventured deeper, the desert began to reveal its true dangers, and they were not alone.
The U.S. Army helicopters fly overhead. A small American military team, led by Captain Daniel Hayes, is seen in the background. They spot Jack and Amina's group.
The Americans came not for gold but for peace. But peace in Zaria was a lie. This land was broken, and its people were caught between the greed of warlords and the shadows of foreign power.
Tension rises when the Americans and the resistance meet. A standoff occurs, with both sides drawing weapons. Jack intervenes, trying to prevent a bloodbath.
The enemy was closing in. A militia leader, Colonel Jafar, stood between them and the treasure. The only choice left was to fight. Fight for survival, fight for freedom.
The group, now a fragile alliance of Americans and locals, fights their way to the oasis. Gunfights as they take down militia forces, explosions lighting up the desert as Jack and Amina evade capture.
Jack had never planned on becoming a hero, but sometimes when faced with the abyss, a man must decide what kind of man he'll be.
Jack and Amina find the oasis, hidden under layers of sand and ancient ruins. A fight breaks out as they uncover the gold. The visuals show a mix of slow-motion action and desperation as Jack faces Colonel Jafar in a hand-to-hand combat sequence.
The treasure lay before them, gold, buried in an ancient tomb. But it was never just gold, it was a test. As the sun set on the desert, Jack stood at the crossroads of greed and redemption. The gold was his, but at what cost? The people of Zaria had already paid enough.
Jack, looking conflicted, slowly begins to destroy the gold, smashing it with a rock. He destroys the treasure, watching the pieces scatter into the desert sand.
Jack Carson chose the path of redemption. The treasure would never leave the desert, but his actions and the alliance forged in the heat of battle would live on.
The U.S. Army team, now allies, help the resistance clear the remaining militia forces. Jack and Amina share a moment of silent understanding.
With the gold destroyed, the people of Zaria reclaimed their future. Jack Carson would never find riches in the desert again. But he had found something far more valuable: the respect of those who called this land home. In the end, it wasn't the gold that mattered. It was the choice we made when faced with the greatest test.
Time Story TV, the stories within.